There's nothing I hate more than seeing the title of a video like, this one thing will elevate your business. And then so you're like, oh, excellent, what is this thing? So I'm like watching or reading away, waiting for the punchline of this one thing, and it just never comes.
It's quite easy to just think, okay, well, I need to make content, but not really take the time to think about what you're actually giving to the person who's reading or viewing the content, if that makes sense. As much as we possibly can, we need to be thinking backwards. We need to be thinking about the end user and like, what are they going to get from this? Hello and welcome to the Grow Your Business with Video podcast. My name's Alex Wardle, I am your host, and my co-hosts Naomi Watson and I today are going to share with you, I wouldn't really call it a rant, but it is certainly a bit of an exploratory discussion on rubbish content. What we've noticed is that we both see a lot of clickbaity content these days. It's absolutely rife on the internet. But not only that, we're actually noticing that from some of the people that we follow, some businesses and companies and individuals who we once held in quite high esteem, the content that they're putting out now is so lacking in value that we feel that our relationship with them is deteriorating, and we're kind of seeing through perhaps the veil, and we're getting more of an inclination that to them we are just a number. We're just someone on their list, just an anonymous figure behind an email list or whatever it is, rather than an actual real person who they want to help. And we think this is a big problem because it's damaging the relationship that people have with the relationship between businesses and customers and clients. And if you are in business, if you're a business owner or you're a marketer for a business, then this is the last thing that you want. You want a really strong relationship with your customers, and you want to make them feel as if they really know and like and trust you, as we keep saying all the time. This is one of the fundamentals of marketing and of business as a whole. So in this discussion, we kind of chew the fat on this a little bit and talk about some ideas about how you can maybe avoid doing this yourself, and instead develop a really strong connection with each and every member of your audience so that they see you in really high esteem and go on to become happy long-term clients who are more than happy to spread the good word about the wonderful work that you do. It's a really interesting conversation, this. I hope you find it insightful as well and you learn something from it. And because it is a discussion, an ongoing discussion, this whole topic, it would be great to hear what you think as well. Or if you have any questions or would like us to talk about anything in particular in a future episode, you can get in touch with us by following the links in the show notes of this episode. And as well as that, if you are enjoying the podcast, if you've listened to previous episodes and you're learning from it, and you find it interesting, then do leave us a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to this, because it really helps us to help more people and to get the word out there and to continue helping more business owners like yourself to create effective video, which is what we're all about. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this episode. Let's dive in. Right, Gnomes, what's been keeping you busy the past few days in quarantine?
I've been procrastinating. And
always good.
I am very, very productive when I procrastinate. I
don't fully understand. That oxymoronic.
I have been making videos teaching people how to make a nice proper brewed cup of coffee at home with different pieces of equipment. It is called the Quarantine Coffee Chronicles.
Get you. That sounds great.
I've only done a couple. But yeah, people have liked them because I've just been nice and clear about like what equipment to use and what coffee I'm using, and I've been editing the videos so that I'm chopping out like bits in between that people might not really want to watch me stir in something for ages, but I'm just telling them what I'm doing and just like trying to keep them relatively short so that, because people don't want to watch a video forever. But that's kind of helped them be relatively entertaining, especially when I've like I've swore by accident and had to put a beep in it. So yeah, I've just been enjoying doing those.
Keeping the light-hearted yet still quite educational and useful content, I suppose, then.
Yeah,
That's good.
There's nothing I hate more than when, I'm telling people clearly what is in the happening in the video just from the title, the like Quarantine Coffee Chronicles. And I'm literally saying, today we're using an AeroPress, today we're using a V60. There's nothing I hate more than seeing the title of a video like, this one thing will elevate your business. And then so you're like, oh, excellent, what is this thing like that I can do to help elevate my business? So I start watching the video, or it might come in the form of an email, and I'm like watching or reading away, waiting for the punchline of this one thing, and it just never comes. And they are just talking about some other story that I've like heard 10,000 times, and actually I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, that's a conversation for another day, like making sure you do repeat your story, because you're not going to say a story once and people are going to know it and remember it forever. But just talking about something that's not relevant to like one specific thing that elevated your business, and sometimes it's shared as if it's a tip or something you can do, and then at the end I'm like, well, there was nothing valuable there, and I cannot actually implement something with any of that information, and it wasn't enjoyable, and now I've just wasted 9 minutes of my life, and for one tip in 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Like,
so we've got the several things at play here, isn't there? Clickbait sounds like it's a bit of a thing here.
I hate clickbait.
People are clickbaiting you into this, like giving you false promises of whatever it may be. Like you say, elevate your business, improve this, fix this, but then not actually delivering. Yeah. Which is, if you ask me, a bit of a cardinal sin of not just marketing, but like doing anything really. Yeah. False hope, false advertising.
Yeah. I understand how clickbait works and how it's useful, and I don't mind it if the bait actually produces a good catch.
yeah. But it's not. So have you seen many examples of this then recently? Have you, I mean, obviously we don't want to badmouth anyone, we're not going to specifically, but like this to me sounds like something that we need to be wary of as people who are doing any kind of marketing, because we don't want to be in that position ourselves. We don't want to
well, I anticipate it almost. If something's quite clickbaity, I anticipate that I won't actually get the thing I want, and sometimes I know it'll come from the same,
because this is a big trend these days, isn't it?
And then this person might actually put some value in for once, but I've assumed that they've not that they haven't, because they usually don't. So like, I just think there's maybe people are this could be like another topic of conversation, but people are so afraid to give away value, and it's like, it's one thing, and actually will they implement it, and will they, like, they're not necessarily gonna not buy from you because they've got something for free out of you. Like, actually, like, I think the more value you get from someone, the more you're gonna trust them.
Yeah, I think the opposite is true.
Yeah, and you're gonna feel safer investing your money in their product or service, because you know what, like, the end results are then gonna look like, because you've got so much value out of it at the end. And I'm just bored. Bored of watching or reading something that just has no value in it, or just telling me something that, like, I already know. I don't know, maybe that's just my opinion, but
no, I totally understand where you're coming from. I think it's something that, as I said, we need to be aware of, because it's a fine line to tread, isn't it? Because we want to help people. We want to provide stuff that's genuinely valuable for people. And I think if you're not of that inclination, then you kind of need to. I'm of the opinion that you need to rethink your strategy a little bit, because if you just want to sell stuff and if you just want to make the quick sale and you want all the clients and customers as through the door as quickly as possible, then yeah, I think it's not a very it's not a very strategic long-term way of approaching your business. I think it's much more I don't know, it's just a better way of doing things if you actually want to provide something of value back to your people who aren't perhaps even your customers and clients yet, people who are just on your radar. Obviously, there's always the, as business owners and people who are doing marketing, there's always the end goal is to get customers and clients, and we want people to buy our stuff. But I think if you just stop there, I don't know. I think it's shady, and I think it's schneedy, and I think you have to genuinely care about helping other people out in some way, even if it's just entertaining them for a couple of minutes, because then you just come across more as someone who does actually care about the end user.
And I've thought of an example as well that it's not necessarily something that I've seen, but so it's just very anecdotal. But let's say you are a dog walker or trainer and you're like putting content like out there, but it's just pictures of cute dogs, and that might be enough really to to make people think like, oh, I'm gonna go with them for my dog trainer. But really, I would much prefer to see a dog trainer actually show some of their like tricks or behavior things that they actually do every now and then. I would like to see one of them like for free, like of what you could do with your dog, because then I would go away and I would try and do that, and like I'd give it a go. But to be fair, I'd probably fail because I'm not a dog trainer myself. So then that would make me go, oh, so actually, and like I love that I got that little tip, and I love that I've given it a go myself. Like, oh, they're really great that they, they're willing to show like potential clients or whatever, their like how they do things and the results they get, and then I give it a go myself and I can't do it because I'm not them. I don't have their skills. So then that makes me go, but I've seen her be able to do it, so I'm going to choose her because I've got that trust. Yeah. And I think it could be the same for coaches and other services as well. Like, you get given like a business tip or a piece of advice and you try to implement it yourself, and like it's hard. It's hard to do, and it might not necessarily work straight away, but when you've like heard the information come from that person, you think, well, they know what they're talking about though. Like, they told me. I haven't been able to do it, but they told me, so I'm going to go to them for the help. I just think I think you get much more back from giving, like actually some value.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, I think you summed it up perfectly there. Yeah, another phrase is like paying it forward. You need to be paying forward all the time. And I think that what goes around comes around. Like, yeah. I don't believe in fate or like karma necessarily and stuff like that. I'm not particularly woo-woo. Not that those things are woo-woo. I don't want to offend anyone. Do I want to offend anyone? I don't know. That's another subject for another day. But I do think that what goes around comes around, and if you give stuff of value, you will receive as well. In the form of, in this case, if you are trying to help people out in some way, whilst also obviously demonstrating that you are trustworthy and that you're knowledgeable and you have experience and expertise, it paints you in such a better light than just, for example, selling all the time, or the example that you talked about right at the start, where someone kind of promises the world, or not even promises the world, just promises one thing and then doesn't actually get to it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in those examples, what did they do instead? Like you said, they just kind of told the same stories that you'd heard before, or just kind of waffled on. So it was just kind of nothing content.
It was, just kind of nothing. Like, just, I think just describing, like, the position they were in and then saying that they worked hard, basically. Like, and now they are where they are and they know and they know the skills, like, to help you do the same. It's like, that's just, like, it looks more like a feature that, like, it doesn't see, like, how it'll actually benefit me. And, like, I need that visualization drawn for me. Like, I need a picture of what the end product, like, is gonna look like. And that's what you do for physical products. Like, you see a physical product, you don't necessarily know what it does straight away, but when you see someone have a go of it and, like, do a tutorial or something, like, a tutorial is absolutely, like, an amazing way to see what an end product is going to look like. And it's like, oh, if I have that at the end, if that's the benefit, like, I'll have that.
Yeah.
and then I'll go and purchase.
Great points, by the way, and interesting anecdotes as well. I think we need to be thinking about this fine line as marketers and business owners and whatever, that we need to tread between offering stuff that's valuable and it's going to help people, whilst also obviously not giving away all of the information for free, because we then devalue not just ourselves but everyone else in the bloody world, which is a terrible thing to do.
If you're giving away your stuff, then other people are going to be, like, other people doing the same, like, work as you are going to be like, what the hell?
Yeah, it happens all the time. People try and undercut and all sorts, and I understand people's initial motivation to do so, but it's very, very damaging for everyone involved. Not just yourselves. There's so much content out there now, isn't there, in many different forms, not just video, as you said, email and all sorts, articles, that I think it's quite easy to just think, okay, well, I need to make content. I need to put loads of stuff out there, but not really take the time to think about what you're actually giving to the person who's reading or viewing the content, if that makes sense. So, like, my assumption is that content that you mentioned before, where it's like almost clickbaity, they probably didn't necessarily think, oh, I'm going to clickbait people here, I'm going to promise this thing, but then, like, not really deliver it. But they probably did think, what's going to be a really intriguing headline that's, like, really going to get people to click, and they're going to be like overwhelmed almost with curiosity, and then I'll just write my thing. And it's, to me, that's quite, like, haphazard almost, and it's quite almost, I don't know, I just feel like that content's, like, it's devalued so much. It's almost like content for the sake of it.
Like, I need to write my email this week. And I think, like, it's not building the relationship, or it's not selling. Fair enough, sell a product. Like, you have to sell the stuff you make, but it's not building a relationship. It's not actually selling a product. Therefore, like, it's not building up that trust that helps lead you towards buying something as well. Like, it's just there, and it's not doing anything.
Because we've talked about quite a few different issues, and it's been quite exploratory. I think this episode, it has been a proper conversation.
We'll need to listen back.
probably. But I think there's a few sort of key takeaways. I think we need to not just see content, no matter what that is. You know, content, buzzword, isn't it? No matter what it is that you're doing marketing wise, whatever communication, I suppose, that you're putting out there, however you're communicating with your audience, it needs to have a purpose. It needs to be useful to people. And I think that, you, like, as much as we possibly can, we need to be thinking backwards. We need to be thinking about the end user and, like, what are they going to get from this? Because, like, value is another buzzword as well. That I hate saying value, because I feel like Gary Vee, and I don't particularly love Gary Vee these days. It's like, oh, you got to give value, value. But it is true. Like, what we mean is that the person who is reading or watching or listening to our stuff, we need to think beyond just, okay, what's going to get me a sale? What's going to get me more leads? Or how am I going to get more clicks on this or more views and stuff? And we need to...
I haven't shown up, so I better show up and do something random.
Absolutely, yeah. But, I haven't wrote my email today or this week, so I'll just write something. Mm-hmm. I think if you only think in that kind of 2D, low resolution way, you're kind of putting yourself at risk of actually damaging those relationships with your audience, with those individual members of your potential customer base, as you've said, because you actually, you're getting this content delivered to you because you signed up to something, you've shown an interest in them, and you want to be involved in their world, but it's almost like you've become a number to them. Like you're starting to see through the veil a little bit, I suppose.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of, I feel like one person I follow who I used to absolutely love and would get like a lot of joy out of the emails, and now feel like they're just pushing me away because they're just showing up for like the absolute sake of it. Like, I'm not saying like don't do some throwaway like videos but they just still need to be a little bit fun, and like you're learning something like about the person, or just building a little bit of a relationship or something.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. So key point to take away, I think, is like you said, this has been an interesting episode. This interesting conversation. It hasn't been about like one particular thing. It's been quite exploratory. But I think the key takeaway for listeners would be put yourself in your customer's shoes. Not even your customer, the people who aren't your customers yet. Think backwards all the time. It's not about you, is it? Like, business is not about you. It's not about you at all. It's about them. And maybe before you like rush to write that email that you haven't written this week, or that video that you haven't put on Instagram when you said you were gonna, don't just make one for the sake of it. I'm not saying don't make something at all, but perhaps that might be the best thing to do. If you can't think of, if you're not in the creative flow at the moment and you're struggling to think of a way that you can give back and provide something for your viewers, maybe take a bit of time first, have a cup of tea and try and brainstorm some ideas, rather than just being like, oh, hiya, I still exist and do you want to buy my stuff? Because that's really off-putting.
I think just asking, like, do people want to hear this? Do people want to see this? People bothered about this? And then you might go, no, probably not. But then you might think of something else that they might like to hear or see instead. But I think it's just asking that question. Like, sometimes just it's hard. It's a little bit like I haven't defined in my head like what I do and don't like, and sometimes like it can work, but I don't mind seeing like some unvaluable stuff if I really like the person.
Yes.
But I need to have been built to that point first. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
That's a good place to wrap up, I think.
Yeah.
Because that's some interesting points there.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Excellent.
We'll talk about relationship between yourself and others in more detail another time.
We will indeed.
Okay.
We will indeed. Excellent. Thanks, Naomi.
It's all right. Thanks, Al.
So, big question for you, dear listener. Are you treating your customers and your clients and your audience in general like numbers? Or are you treating them like the human beings that they actually are? I know which one I would rather do, and I know which one is going to result in a better business with happier clients, and a business that is going to be held in much higher regard by those clients as well. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, once again, please do leave us a review on Spotify or iTunes or wherever you're listening to this. Next time on the Grow Your Business with Video podcast is another special guest episode. And it's a very special guest indeed, because I am speaking with Dom Hodgson, who is not only a client of Artifact Media, one of our longest standing clients in fact, but he's also a really good mate. I've learned heaps from him over the years. He's been instrumental in our success for sure, and he's really making waves within his own industry, and he's always got a lot of great stuff to share. There's a lot to learn from him, whether you're in the same industry as him or not. So be sure to tune in next time for that. Until then, I'll see you later.